Imagine you stand on the docks of Messina in the autumn of 1347. The whole city waited. These ships carried silk and spice from the distant Black Sea. But the oars hang still. No one stands on deck. Something is terribly wrong. Killing mile and Decidates to Tilser, intermuding to whom filished in slopped. Most of the sailors are already dead. The living are covered in black sores. But this story did not begin here. It began far away, to the east. In 2022, scientists found the answer near Lake Issyk-Kul in modern Kyrgyzstan. The gravestones there, dated 1338, carried a single haunting word: died of pestilence. From the ancient bones came DNA, and there it was, Yersinia pestis, the plague itself. These were the first victims, 10 years before the world would burn. This was the Silk Road. The great road binding east to west. Caravans carried silk and spice across deserts and mountains. But they carried a hidden passenger, a flea on a rat, holding death inside it. Death traveled with trade. Slowly, caravan by caravan, it crept toward the heart of the world. 1346. The city of Kaffa, a Genoese fortress on the Black Sea coast. The city was besieged by the army of the Golden Horde. Then plague struck the attackers. Topikaluta perfect, proportional the Bumble. Soldiers died by the thousands. The army turned its own dead into weapons. Documents occasion of eyes. One chronicler claims they loaded corpses onto catapults and hurled them over the city walls. Many call this the first biological weapon, but modern historians are deeply skeptical of the tale. The writer was never there, and plague would have spread by ship anyway. Yet the core is true. Genoese ships fleeing Kaffa carried death, unknowing, into the very heart of Europe. The gates of the continent had opened. What came through would not stop for 4 years. After Messina, death would not rest, nor. It leapt from port to port along every coast. By 1348, Marseille, then Paris, then all of France fell under its shadow. That year it reached England, by 1349, London, then Scandinavia and distant Russia. In just 3 years, it swallowed a whole continent. City after city fell silent. The sickness was merciless. Healthy at dawn, black swellings by night, dead within days. Some lay down in the evening and never saw the morning light again. And no one understood why. To the people, it felt like the very end of days. They tried everything: prayer, fire, fleeing. Nothing worked. No one could see the true enemy. In total, 30 to 60% of all Europe perished. Tens of millions simply gone. Doctacally, all feel it the deadliest pandemic in all human history. And the worst part was not the dying. The numbers blur into abstraction. So let us look at one city through one man's eyes. Siena, in Italy. Here lived a man named Agnolo di Tura. He wrote what he saw. And his words still chill the blood, 7 centuries later. A horror no one was ready for. Fathers abandoned children, wives their husbands. The sickness seemed to strike through a single glance. And then his most famous line, "And I, Agnolo di Tura, buried my 5 children with my own hands." With his own hands, 5 children, one father, digging 5 small graves, entirely alone. There were so many dead, he wrote, that great pits were dug across the whole city. The dead were piled in layers, thin earth between, no priest, no tolling bell. No one wept, for all awaited their own death. It was the end of the world. In Florence, the writer Boccaccio saw the same nightmare. Mornings healthy were evenings corpses. Wealthy homes stood empty, bodies lay in the streets, and no one dared come close. Some locked their doors, others fled, some feasted, sure tomorrow would never come. The bonds that held society together, family, faith, duty, dissolved before a death that spared no one. This was no distant statistic. It was a father's hands in the soil, burying all he loved. When people cannot understand a cause, they search for an answer. That search often turned to horror. Some believed it was God's wrath. Bands of flagellants marched from town to town, whipping themselves. They lashed themselves bloody, trying to cleanse the sins that brought the plague. Others hunted for someone to blame. Jewish communities were falsely accused of poisoning the wells. It was false. Yet, across the Rhineland, whole towns burned, thousands murdered. Even when the Pope defended them, the killing did not stop. Fear drowned reason. The physicians were helpless. They believed the disease came from poisonous air in the streets. Some prescribed sniffing sweet herbs, others drained blood. None of it did the slightest good. But the Pope's own doctor, Guy de Chauliac, did not flee. He stayed and documented the disease. He caught it himself, and against all odds, survived, leaving behind an invaluable record. The Black Death did not spare Europe alone. It devoured the entire known world. It ravaged the Middle East, Damascus, Cairo, Mecca. By some accounts, Cairo lost thousands a day. The traveller Ibn Battuta passed through Damascus and saw the terror of the plague himself. Kilian Untape. People fasted and prayed and poured into the streets, begging the heavens for it to end. The great historian Ibn Khaldun lost both his mother and father to the plague, still young. Years later, he wrote, "It was as if the voice of existence called out for oblivion, and the world answered." Civilization, east and west, was laid waste. Whole nations simply vanished. This was never Europe's tragedy alone. It wounded every corner of the world. Now let us clear one thing up. When you picture the plague, you see the famous plague doctor. That beaked mask, the dark robe. But in 1347, it did not exist. The iconic mask was invented by a French doctor around 1619, 300 years later. The most famous image of the plague does not even belong to it, but something useful was born. The city of Dubrovnik in 1377 passed the first law. Arriving ships must wait apart. The waiting became 40 days. In Italian, 40 days is 40 giorni. And so came our word, quarantine. When the Black Death finally faded, it left behind a completely different world. So many workers had died that the labor of the survivors suddenly became precious. They began to demand higher wages. The system of serfdom, binding people for centuries, cracked. For the first time, the common person felt their own worth. The old order had lost its grip. In art, death reigned. The dance of death took king and beggar alike. Faith in the church was shaken, for it saved no one. And in that shaken ground, new ideas grew. Many historians believe this devastation cleared the path to a new age, the Renaissance itself. Those ships carried more than disease. They carried the end of an entire world. In 4 years, half the world was gone, but the surviving half awoke in a world transformed. History isn't something you read, it's something you witness. Witness it with us.